Hello, everybody. I'm TJ Shope, State Senator, Legislative District 16, President Pro Tem of the Senate, and also the Chair of the Committee on Health and Human Services. Want to welcome you and thank you for being here to hear about our Senate bill dealing with psilocybin. There are some folks that are behind me that will go ahead and discuss with you the reasons why they support this effort to go ahead and provide a clinical healthcare option to people who have some of the issues that they will go ahead and discuss. We have a retired Marine behind us named Rob Steele, a retired firefighter named Dale Krogan, and we have Josh Moselle with us, and I will make sure that they introduce themselves whenever they come up. I will go ahead and turn the conference over to them and come back up for you all for any questions you all may have at their conclusion. Thank you.
So many microphones here.
So little time.
So little time. Thank you, Senator Shope.
Introduce yourself and spell your name.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Josh Moselle. My name is spelled Mozell.
Don't touch them. They're all going to pick up your voice, so
Okay.
you could just speak normally.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not
Okay. I'm a mental health lawyer here in town, and I'm the president of the Psychedelic Association of Arizona. First off, there's been a lot of chatter about this bill. It's not a bill to legalize free use of magic mushrooms. We're not decriminalizing psychedelics. We aren't allowing microdosing all over town. Kids are not going to have access. This bill, SB 1570, is about addressing our mental health crisis. And truth be told, we're in the middle of a mental health crisis. In the last 20 years, rates of depression are up 60%. In the last 20 years, suicides are up 40%. In the last 20 years, drug overdoses are up 450%. For heroes in our society, the veterans, firefighters, police, and doctors, things are even more dire. Doctors have suicide rates twice the national average. Arizona first responders have suicide rates 40% higher. Veterans have suicide rates 110% higher. So the people that we ask to go off to war for us, save our lives in the emergency room, run into buildings, they are the ones who are suffering most. And this isn't for lack of trying. We now spend more than ever on mental health interventions, tens of billions of dollars a year. 80 million Americans are on psychotropic medication. Insurance is finally paying for mental health treatment. We have stigma reduction campaigns. We have suicide prevention movements. The media talks about mental health more than ever, celebrities too, but none of this is working. Our situation, as I just described, is getting worse than it has ever been. We're in the midst of a mental health emergency and we're failing. We need treatment options, and that's why SB 1570 was drafted. Psilocybin, which is at the center of that, has been shown to be effective with treatment-resistant depression, treatment-resistant bipolar 2, PTSD, and generalized anxiety disorder. The list goes on and it's growing. In SB 1570, we're allowing psilocybin in three ways. If it's rescheduled by the federal government, through clinical trials of whole mushrooms with Sue Sicily, and if doctors have 132 hours of training on the subject. To me, this bill is addressing our mental health crisis. It's about giving doctors options and providing some hope to people who have unremitting mental illness. That's what the bill is about, and I want to thank Senator Shope for making this happen. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Steele, Steele. I live down in Santan Valley, Arizona. I was in the Marine Corps for 6.5 years. I was on an anti-terrorism team. I fought in the Battle of Fallujah. After that, I was a private security contractor overseas, and then eventually a deputy for Pinal County. I'm no longer a deputy. Because of that, I'm now a person that has been able to use mushrooms, psilocybin, for my treatment. At one point in time, I used to take over 300 pills a month from the VA. Many veterans don't want to do that. Many law enforcement officers don't want to do that. But the facts are the facts. 29% of people that went to Iraq or Afghanistan have been diagnosed with PTSD. Department of Justice states that 15% of law enforcement officers have PTSD, but many don't seek treatment because they don't want to get caught into the endless supply of pills and take another pill to counter this side effect. It's time that we give people an alternative. it's time that we have an alternative for treatment, just another option. It might not work for everybody, but another option is all we're really requesting here. So, thank you.
I'll wait just a second here for the fire truck to go by. So, okay. Thank you. We'll go ahead and open it up just real quick. I think you heard it there. First things first. This is not Oregon. I can tell you myself, I never want Arizona to be Oregon. But this is a state that has embraced new thought in the field of medicine for many, many years. And we will continue to do so. This is not, as was mentioned, a treatment that everybody will seek. However, the option being available is something that is very important, not just to the folks who have spoken already, but to I think many who are out in our retired firefighter community, police officers, our veterans. At dinner with two last night who had to travel to other countries to seek treatment and have had zero negative side effects or impacts to their daily life. In fact, have been able to be and continue to be contributing members of society based on what they've experienced. So happy to take some questions on what we were doing. I will say also that when we begin the hearing today, upon conclusion of floor, so hopefully in the area of 1:30 to 2 o'clock, we will also be joined by the founder of GoDaddy and PXG Golf, one of our great philanthropists here in the Phoenix area in the southwestern United States, Mr. Bob Parsons. So please stay tuned for that.
Let me start off with the basics. Last year, the legislature appropriated $5 million for psilocybin research. Didn't get spent. The whole frou-frou now about whether the governor's going to sweep it. Are we putting the cart before the horse of saying we can allow this use without having first done the research here?
Right. I'm happy you asked that question. First of all, yes, we are working on, because that bill did not have non-lapsing language, to make sure that that's still included. It was mentioned earlier, Dr. Sue Sisley, who has been a leading researcher and scientist in the area of mushrooms and the research goes, actually walking up right now, has been in this field already for many years. We know that what we're trying to do here has been proven to work, and it will be done in a very controlled and clinical setting with a willing medical professional and a willing patient.
Now, when you say mental illness, we were talking blanket mental illness. Does it respond better to other conditions? It may not be so effective with others.
That is something I would defer to Dr. Sisley on, but my understanding, and especially in the realm of this bill and the conversation that we've been having here, we are really looking at things like PTSD in that family of mental health issues.
So what provisions are in this bill to make sure that, I'm thinking about marijuana in California is very easy for people if they want to get a medical card before it became recreational. How does this make sure that this is kind of kept on a narrow path if that's the goal?
Great question. I think the fact that we are doing it here within the confines of the legislature, where it will have the bill itself will have oversight and legislative members looking at it, investigating it, our research teams here, before it even goes to a vote of the full Senate, this will have been vetted before it ever even reaches the governor's desk. That is something we did not do with the experimentation on whether or not medical marijuana or legalized marijuana was going to be a good or bad or indifferent thing. Our vibe here is to go ahead and get out in front of what seems to be something that is, in a sense, coming of age before it does, so that way we can go ahead and make sure that the government is able to keep up. Right?
There's going to be a cost for this potentially to set it up. What is the estimate of that cost? And then also, can you talk a little bit about how where the mushrooms are coming from, so that will be federally legal, which is also what the bill calls for.
Right.
So a key difference is that marijuana, they can go take it somewhere else.
Yeah,
Whereas
right.
This, a doctor is watching them.
That's
it's
right.
Controlled, and then they don't take it outside.
That's a good point, President. Thank you, President Peterson. Just on the previous question as well, this is all going to be done in a clinical setting. If you recall, when medical marijuana was passed prior to the legalization, you could go ahead and present at a facility, at a shop, and then go off site someplace. So this is going to be very tightly controlled in that.
So only doctors. Huh?
Correct. In a controlled setting, yes. And then your question to
What is going to be the cost of this? Because
the cost is there will be a cost initiated, obviously, with the setting up of the program at the Department of Health Services. That will be reflected within the bill, and then obviously part of the budget negotiation that occurs with that. But that will all be considered, which is why we're going to do this in this fashion through the legislative process in consultation with Department of Health and other entities that are obviously the governor's office would have to be involved as
I was
well.
wondering if there's an estimate yet for that cost, and then also could you just talk a little bit about
I
how
did-
the mushrooms will be legal?
I'd have to get back on the exact cost to you whenever we get that
But
estimate.
what about
but
the issue of the mushrooms are currently illegal?
That is
like
correct.
Marijuana, as yet somehow it magically appears. Where are clinicians going to get these mushrooms?
Right, and I think Dr. Sisley and our people at committee today will go ahead and be able to speak to that as far as the sourcing of that and how they're tested. Even I know that has been a topic of conversation already. So I saw it was
Yeah, can you describe to folks out there what the world will look like in 2026 if this legislation passes and how someone would be able to get access to this therapy?
well. The reality is that for 99% of the population will notice no difference in their daily life at all. However, a person may have a loved one who has, as I described last night when talking at dinner, one of the folks I had a conversation with who'd been served tours in Iraq, had been special ops, and was finally able to let go of that experience. For that person who had tried different types of pharmaceuticals, had tried other types of things that just not working, who unfortunately had to leave his home and go elsewhere to a foreign country to get this type of treatment, that person will be able to do that here in consultation with a medical professional in a closed setting, a clinical setting, and have something that is potentially life altering in a positive way, in a sense, brings back the life that existed prior to those experiences.
Does this have to be a
Psilocybin is still federally illegal. So how are you guys working with the federal government on something
Right.
like this?
So the federal government is still in the process of looking at many types of different drugs as far as the scheduling is. There are provisions within that we have considered within the bill and then are likely to consider as the federal government acts. But as we've seen, it is very slow at this point in time.
so this bill is not contingent on the feds legalizing it, as I understand it.
that is correct. I mean, yeah.
Okay, so does this have to be MD, DO, naturopath, a medical doctor? Can this be a certified nurse practitioner? Can this be a counselor? No, I want to
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
We went through this with marijuana, where it was the naturopaths who were issuing virtually all the licenses.
Right.
Who will be able to do this?
So that medical professional, we'll go ahead and we're going to describe that process in detail at the committee hearing today, and you'll hear exactly how that's going to roll out. I think that the biggest takeaway from this portion of the process here is the knowledge that it is going to be something that is done in consultation with a patient's medical professional that will be done in a very clinical closed setting on that.
A couple years back, I think we were having the same conversation with medical marijuana and how that would be helping veterans with PTSD
Yeah.
experiencing mental health issues. So I think when we're talking about mushrooms now, when are we going to keep going from here, experimenting with different kinds of drugs and legalizing them in certain aspects so that veterans and people with mental health can?
Well, I think one of the important things to differentiate is to go back to what I just talked about is that that was an argument that was made by the proponents of the then legalization effort on medical marijuana. The reality is though we have nothing but anecdotal research from that, because the folks that went and were able to get that prescribed medical marijuana, it's not like it happened within a clinical setting. You weren't able to go ahead and ensure that dosing was correct, things like that. So while it probably did help many people, it obviously we have gotten to a point in time where we're looking at other things. Now, where does that lead 10, 15, 20 years down? I can't speculate on what that looks like. I can only go into the areas where it seems as though, and I think that as we go through this process this afternoon, medical research is telling us that these items will work. And I have no doubt that it will be highly scrutinized, and that is a key. The fact that we are doing this here, the fact that we are doing this, like I said, patient and medical professional in a clinical setting, will give us the evidence of whether or not it works for these patients who are using this. And you'll be my last question, because we have to get this. It is not. No. Thank you very much. We're going to be there. We're going to.
Where did you get your treatment? This is obviously not legal. Was it? I'm not trying to get you to.
No, it's okay. The first time I got treatment was would be considered underground. I went to Montana, got treatment there. I received treatment in Mexico, California. That's where I received most of my
How
treatment.
specifically has this kind of treatment helped? Does it help with not only PTSD, but I know there's a lot of depression, anxiety tied to these?
Depression, anxiety. I have my daughter here with me, but she can basically say I'm a changed person. I'm happy again. A lot of my problems, withdrawing from people, my anger problems, a lot of it subsided. So it has helped. That's not my problems, and taking all these medications I used to take from the VA. That's coming off 300 pills a month and seeing improvement. So
How long ago did you get treatment?
it's been a couple years now. So thank you.
Is this kind of like a microdosing? Just for people to kind of understand how it works.
So myself personally, there's all different types of treatment. I've done macrodosing mostly, which is very, very high doses. When you're going in with sensory deprivation, and then talking about your experiences, counseling, all that. So thank you.
At any time, do you go through a period of being high, like you would with regular psychedelics? That's gonna be my last question, because I know they're trying to wrap it up. But while you're under the psychedelics or the mushrooms, yes, you are high, but you're in a controlled setting. Like, you'll be with a medical professional. It'd be no different than, there's other substances that we take that you're in controlled settings with. Every police department out here, all the law enforcement agencies have what's called a wet lab, where they give individuals alcohol and they supervise them, and that's for the cadets to test them. It'd be no different than that. Yes, you're under a mind-altering substance, seeking treatment, but you are under supervision of a medical professional. How long is it?
All right, thank you guys. Thank you guys. We'll see you. I'll come talk to you. Thank you. We'll see you guys in the hearing, and it'll be good. It'll be a fun time. You'll learn a lot.